Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for stopping by once again. It's amusing that I should be trying to make a video here that's probably going to be up for a very long time if I today can get it finished the way I want it. But it's during the coronavirus and the quarantine, so I'm going to have this hair through the whole thing. And people a year or two from now will say, why does he get a haircut? That's why I didn't get a haircut. Any event, I've often said to people, and several videos here, that I think it's a mistake for many people, if not for everybody, to just rush through Panama City on your way to somewhere else. People come into the airport, they go into, these days, when the quarantine's over, but in this period, inexpensive hotels really, stay there for a night. A few people stick around, see things, but very frequently they're off and to the west. There are two areas that are very frequently the goals of people who are coming down to visit the first time. One of those, in a general sense, can be referred to as Coronado, which is actually a much bigger area than that, but it runs along the beaches and the areas behind the beaches up in the mountains of central Panama. But that's immediately to the west of the city. And then the second area, much further to the west and nearer to the Costa Rican border, is the area of Boquete and Volcan, which is up in the even more mountainous areas in the center of the country there. There are a number of other locations as well that people are interested in, but those are the two that often gain the most attention because they're publicized. For whatever reason, it's probably psychological in part, but people are so used to advertising to foreigners, the mountains and the beaches and so forth, they forget the city. And the city wasn't all that terribly attractive when I first got here 16 years ago. It lacked a lot of amenities. For someone who had lived overseas as long as I had in so many different countries, 40-some years at that stage, it was a perfectly good city. And I thought actually better than many I had visited, certainly back in the 20th century. But it wasn't exactly, it wasn't a beautiful place. It lacked a lot, that's all. No, it hasn't. It's just astonishing how much has been added to the city in the 16 years that I have lived here. And it is definitely not the place I first visited when I got here. That was a pleasant city. This one is a very dynamic city and a very growing city. It's a center for commerce and business, no question about it. But it also has a lot of amenities, too, that it did not have in the past, and make it a lot more interesting place to live than it used to. So I keep saying you ought to take a moment to take a look at the city. Well, people do, and they have been looking at real estate, which a lot of you doing your research. You can't get here, given the coronavirus, so you sit down and you go through the real estate ads. Now, that's always a little shaky, because many of those ads, the prices are not updated. Understandably, there isn't a lot of traffic here when the airport's closed, so it isn't very useful to think of coming down, but it's like your introduction to it. And I know it's sincere and you work very hard at it. Just give those prices, don't get upset about the prices. We don't know what the prices are going to be once this situation here is over with and the city opens up and the airport opens up too. Hopefully in the not too distant future, and that these words in this video will be out of date soon. I hope so. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, I wanted to give you something that you could use. I didn't want to do another video of the city, in part because I can't go out and do it anyhow, but because another video isn't going to make any difference to you. You just see a lot of pretty things, or maybe not so pretty, I don't know, and it just means nothing. 5 minutes later, you've forgotten about it. What's frustrating to people who write me, who are interested in Panama City, it's big. It has a lot of different areas in it, a lot of names that people run into. And there's El Barrio, there's Costa del Este, there's Casco Viejo, there's El Congrejo, on and on and on. So where are these places? How do they relate to each other? It's not that people need to know exactly where they are, but how close is it to the water? How far is it from the main shopping areas in the downtown, and so forth? Where does this house here and this condo here, where do they stand vis-a-vis each other? And I'm looking at both of these ads. am I looking at the same part of the city, or is it a completely different and far apart? And it's that feeling that you don't know where you're looking at. Okay, fair enough. So can I find a simple tool that will allow you to at least get some basic information about how the city is set up? The answer is yes, and that's what I'm working with today, and that's what I'm here to do. Now, there is another video here with a map of the nation of Panama. One of my most popular videos. If you haven't seen that, you should, and I'm going to put the link to that in the description below this video. So take a look at that later on when you have a chance. It will help. But here we're going to talk about a very specific area. Now, but to put it in context, I want to at least describe the basic levels of government authority here, so you have some sense, when you hear the words used, you know what they mean. And very simply put, Panama is divided into provinces and comarcas. I'm showing you a list of these words here. Those in yellow are Spanish, that's why they're highlighted. The comarcas are set aside for our indigenous folks, and they are very similar to provinces, but they control the fate of their own land. It's owned tribally, and it is not sold to outsiders. So you're looking at provinces when you come down here to look at real estate. Within every province and comarca, they're all divided into districts, and then each district is divided into, and here's a beautiful word, corregimientos. Now, corregimiento is a word in the old days used a lot in Spain. Today it's used for some small towns in Colombia, but we're the only place in the world where they use it as an actual subdivision of legal entity. And so every district is made up of these corregimientos, and that is the bottom, so to speak. That's the base of the nation. So everybody lives in a corregimiento, inside a district, inside a province or comarca in the Republic of Panama. Now, another group, the final level, underneath the line, is barrios, and those are neighborhoods. And they have no legal authority. They don't receive a budget. They don't have any legal meaning in this country. But for a lot of people, that's home. And the names of barrios are used just like the names of corregimientos. Don't worry about the Spanish words. You'll probably never say the word corregimiento while you're in the country, and you probably won't hear it very often, but you'll see it, and you'll see their names. And also, you'll be seeing a lot of the barrio names, the neighborhood names as well. Sometimes, but normally not referring to it being a barrio or a corregimiento. It's very confusing. Very common example. Just a few months ago, I had a couple arrived, and they called me from the hotel. And she said, you know, this is where we're at, and we'd love to see you for coffee tomorrow. We're either in, I think we're in Vista, but maybe we're in El Barrio. And I said, don't worry about it. I know where you are. I'll find you. Well, the truth is they were in both Vista and El Barrio, and that is why I bring that whole topic up, because that's going to focus a lot of what we're going to be doing here today. So I'm going to bring you one map here. And this is the District of Panama, which is part of the province of Panama. The yellow part of it is, the yellower part of it, you might say, is most of the district. It's the area to the lower left that is the city of Panama. The city is inside the district. It is not a district itself. It's a little bit strange, I know, but this is the way it operates. The corregimientos there, numbers 1 through 13, are the city of Panama. The rest are the remainder of the District of Panama. At one point, the city of Panama, of course, was the overwhelming bulk of the people in the district. Today, the majority of the people live in the district outside the city. But that's only because the city limits haven't been changed in a very long time. They could be very easily and sensibly, but no, it's not worth the trouble. So those are the actual area that we call the city. You'll see a little area there that's set aside. You see, that's yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, there we go. I just want to take a look at what you're seeing. All righty. Yes, you see the little white area there. That's another district. That's San Miguelito, and it's historic reasons for why it is separate from the rest of it. And of course, it used to be a community that was some distance from the city proper. No more. So don't worry about it. It's not a problem. It's just those corregimientos who run along the coast, basically, and then the 13th one, which Pedregal, which runs inland a ways. But that's the city. Everything else around is district. Now, the inset off to the right does not, it just shows one half of the city, but that dark green area down is down near the area of the old quarter of Panama. We'll look at that much more closely in the next video. There's a video following this one up. So you can see that this is really a very small area. Let's take a quick look, and you can see here's Panama province as part of the country. Here's Panama district, which is we're talking about. You see San Miguelito sticking out there, and then finally what I just showed you. Okay, that is a beginning. This is what we're here to see, and I'm going to move on in just a few minutes to the tool. So I will be back with you shortly. I'm going to take a break now and get the rest of it organized. Thanks. Sorry for that little jump there. I had to get something changed, and so we have the videos divided into two sections. Now let's get on to the tool and the search tool itself. And we're going to use a search engine, specifically the one at Google. I tried it at Yahoo. It does not work. Bing does part of the job, but nowhere near enough. It just isn't working there either properly for our use, for this purpose. So it's the Google search engine to use. Now let me call up a page, and you can take a look at what I have done here. I put up the name of a corregimiento and Panama, followed by the word Panama. I could put in Panama City, doesn't make any difference. And this one is Bella Vista, or Bella Vista in Spanish, Bella Vista in English. It's a good one to start with because Google knows exactly where it is. And what will pop up on the right-hand side, you get a photograph for any one of the corregimientos. A couple of them are a little difficult to get up sometimes, but this one is always easy. It gives you some details on it, and then it shows you a little map. You double-click on the map, and then this is what you're going to see. This Google goes into the city map itself, and it outlines the Bella Vista corregimiento right there in front of you. And on the left-hand side, there are photographs from that particular corregimiento. Now, in this case, in Bella Vista, they didn't do a very good job of them, I can assure you. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way that it is. And I find it very annoying when that happens. But in some of the areas, some of the neighborhoods, some of the corregimientos here, some of the photos are really pretty interesting. However, if you want to get it off the screen for some reason, don't click on the X, because there's a use for this. You want it later. The blue arrow is pointing at a little tiny gray block there it's a little tiny arrow of its own. You click on that, and it folds everything into the left, and you see the full view without that. And here, however, as I say, it's useful. So the red shows you that little gray box that's still there. If you click on that, we're back where we started. The nice part about it is that you can go into the search engine field here and change it to anything you want to, and you don't have to go back to the Google home page. That's why I say don't eliminate it. Just shove it off to one side if it gets in your face. You don't like it. It doesn't really bother me at all. Now, coming back over to Bella Vista, again, this is going to depend in great part on what kind of screen you're looking at. And again, the phone, probably very difficult. But even on a laptop or desktop, it depends on how it happens, just how it happens to pop up. And what I'm looking at there, what you're seeing up here on at the video, is the neighborhoods. Some of the main neighborhoods of Bella Vista are very clearly there. One on the right-hand side is Obarrio, or Obarrio, which is O-B-A-R-R-I-O. It's a popular neighborhood, and for some people, it's not one of the big ones necessarily, but it is one that people find interesting apartments in. I lived in it for quite some time. It's a very nice place. What can I say? It's just part of the city. Now, if you put your cursor right on Obarrio, And if you don't see it, put it this way, if you don't see that level of detail, you need to dive in, zoom into the map, and eventually, as you get closer in, the names pop up, and you're looking for that one. Well, you'll see the other neighborhoods too. You can take any one of them, and you click on it. If I double click on El Barrio, when I see it, then I get, there we go, this screen. Thankfully, Google is able to show you the neighborhoods, even though they're not official. They do have pretty much their boundaries, not everywhere, but they do in the city pretty much, and they have gone around and they mapped them all. So now we see El Barrio itself inside Bella Vista being emphasized. Again, on a phone, very hard to see, but you'll see it on a laptop or a desktop. And you can probably catch it on a phone if you look carefully. But the point is now you're looking at that neighborhood. You can compare it to any number of other neighborhoods or other corregimientos or whatever. You can see where the water is. You can see where the main road is, which goes out to Tocumen International Airport and comes in, and so forth. I wanted you to see that. So you could go into corregimientos and you could go into into neighborhoods, maybe not all of them, but certainly to a lot of them. We have lots and lots of neighborhoods, and not all of them are necessarily going to show up like this. But the big ones, the ones that are most likely to be seen in advertising, should show up this way. And I'm going to leave that with you. For those of you who are really interested in this, then fine. Give it a try. Spend some time here. I know this is going to be up for a long time, but for those of you who are seeing it premiere, I'm going to give you the next few days, over the weekend, whatever, to take a look at it. And then I'll come back and within the next video and talk a little bit more about about 4 of the 13 that are those of most interest to people who write me, and various and sundry other things that relate to the city, and to finish this up. But this is the tool. This is what I wanted very much to have available to give you, so you go out and you do your research, and you don't have to depend on me or some website somewhere to tell you what a neighborhood is like or where it is or whatever. You just dive right in, find it. And as you do this, more and more, you will get a sense of the difference between these corregimientos and these neighborhoods. You pick it up. It takes a little while, but you certainly know where they fit with each other, and you're going to get a better idea. And I think after the second video, maybe even more so, but heck, this is a great beginning, so I'll be interested and hope to hear from you that it's working for you and that it's of some use to you. It's the best I could come up with that was simple and cheap and easy, and that's pretty important these days. Before I've lost you, I just suddenly realized there's one thing I didn't mention for people who are not as used to going into maps and using them in Google and what have you. When you see one of those maps of the city and you start clicking on it, you're going to zoom right in on it. You keep going down and down and down. Eventually, you will see all the streets and you'll see their names. And you can actually put in some addresses in the search field, and if it's a full address, it'll typically be able to find it for you. Now, but in any event, you can search around. If you find, if you're looking at El Barrio and they say it's on XYZ Street, then you go into El Barrio, find XYZ Street, you know where it is in comparison to a lot of other areas. Go down far enough and you even see the names of restaurants nearby and everything else. You can get a lot of detail from these maps. And so if you haven't done that before, you may not be aware of it. So just sink right into it. And finally, if you're not a subscriber, you'd like to get notification of these videos when they come out, then just feel free to subscribe and click the little button beside it. You'll get immediate notification of new videos. I don't have any advertising. I don't sell you anything, so there's no money involved. It's just here to be of use to you. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll be back with you in a few days.